Teachers.
Hmm?
You thought teachers were stupid. When you were in high school, you thought teachers were stupid. And then when you went to college, you were really impressed that
some of them, they knew so much about one little thing. So, I went into service. I thought maybe getting a job. I was thinking of a Ag teacher. Getting a job and then maybe having a farm or something. And I know now, you know now about Ag students. They're not the kinds of students I'd want to teach, for the most part. But I took, into service you could take courses just about any kind for no charge. So I took, I think, an introduction to education and an educational psychology course. And I got credits for them, which applied toward a teaching certificate eventually, I guess. And I didn't know what I was going to do, and my dad talked to one of the professors from Penn State, and he needed a graduate student about the time I'd be getting out. It's poultry management. He developed what's called a solar house at the time, big windows. And he's quite well known for that. That's how it changed its end. So I went back then and worked with him for my master's. And there still aren't many jobs available in the poultry field. Some are working for a feed company or eventually a sales rep, but you help out farmers with problems. And that's a lot of traveling, and I didn't want to do that. And then there was an opening for 3 years at Alfred Ag Tech, as it's called now. Now it's a community college, Alfred, New York. And you don't remember because you were born, you were to be born so we could move up there. And so I thought that would be interesting. He was going, the guy who taught poultry was also head of the department, so he didn't teach but 1 or 2 courses. And he was going to India on some kind of federal program. He'd done this once before to help farmers over there. I don't know that much about it, so I went there.
You went to India with him?
No, I went to Alfred.
Okay.
And I liked teaching. There wasn't much, there weren't any poultry students. You know, you think about it, unless you were born on it or have worked on it, you like it, the average person wouldn't think about raising chickens for a living or getting a job or going in that field. Maybe horses or even cows or something would be more exciting than something like that for a young person. So there just aren't the students that there aren't now. There aren't now. There's no poultry science courses taught at Penn State, I don't believe. At one point it all changed from husbandry to science. Anyway, and I like teaching. So at the end of the 3rd year, my time was coming up. I thought I'd look around for science. I found out, I don't know how I found this out, but they were closing down VOAG, FFA, VOAG school departments at some of the schools in the best agricultural areas in New York State. They just didn't have students for them. And I have since, after that, I had met some former agricultural students who were switching over to science, and I had to get some extra credits and so on, as I did. So I interviewed several places. The big problem was I wasn't certified, and you have to, they had to, I guess, write out some papers or fill out some forms of principles that they couldn't really find somebody certified. And I went to a couple places.
Be careful of the nuts, Joe.
This is the chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Westchester County, you know, a big suburb.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up there and the guy said, "Where would you live?" All of our teachers live in apartments. They can't afford houses. You know, that's a problem. And you got a family of 8, where do you get a house?
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard about this place in Beaver Falls. I wrote to it. And the principal, Mr. Norton, told me to come on up. And I remember getting up throughway, going up 81, and I got 81 and started going over Tug Hill. And this is in May, I think. That's my first job.
It's snow.
Not quite, but it was so cold, and I had my windows down until I started going to Tug Hill, and I turned them up. I think I even put the air conditioner on low. I thought, I want a job up here. But yeah, it looked good. He was impressed with me.
Did Anna Mae go with you?
No. She had to take care of the kids. Yeah, she didn't, when we moved something often, she didn't know what she was getting into. I moved ahead and got the place. And so, I don't know if you offered me a job right there or you go back a week later.
Where at Beaver Falls? At the school?
Yeah, at the school. And so I had to come up and I needed a place to live. Yeah, he said you wanted to, I guess I had mentioned to him like kind of like a place in the country or a farmhouse. So he knew the farmhouse in Belfort.
Mm-hmm.
People, of course, he knew everybody in the community. And so I went there. And,
Mr. Norton did.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, he retired at the end of my first semester in Beaver Falls, which should have been 63, I guess, probably January 64. And when I retired, he came up and wished me congratulations on retiring.
Mm.
And after he retired, he got a job as an insurance salesman. He moved to Utica, and he knew all the principals, you know, all up and down the Black River Valley and the whole area, and he knew which were the new teachers coming in. And most new teachers just out of college, they never thought about insurance, so he could easily sell them life insurance, I guess. He said that when they started that job, someone told him it wouldn't last more than 6 months. And he was still doing it when I retired, 25 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Since then he's died, he died.
Must have been a good job for him.
Hmm?
Must have made money on it.
Yeah, I guess he did. So that's how I got into teaching.
So where was Belfort? What did you live in there? Did you rent a house or what?
Yeah, I rented a house from farmers who were Mennonites.
The Rogies.
The Rogies, yeah.
Upstairs or downstairs or where?
No, the whole house.
Whole
They
house.
bought the farm next to them so they could have the land.
Okay.
And they rented the house, and then there was a barn that they parked the car in.
What was the house like?
It was, they had just put in a new hot water heating system, which was nice.
Yeah, those are nice.
The water supply wasn't good though. It would run out in the summer. We were never there in the summers. But they wanted to sell me the house. I was telling Joe, but it was so far from the school, and I knew my kids would be active in school once they got bigger. And it had, it had porches, 3 porches I think around it. And then the kitchen area had porches on both sides, but both sides were exposed, so the kitchen was always cold compared to the rest of the house. And there was a toilet in a long room downstairs, remember, which was the playroom.
Yeah.
And they had a pile full of kids' toys. I think you could get a toilet if you wanted to. And there was a big bedroom upstairs. I think you and Joe were in one room, and the girls were in another bedroom, and we had the bigger bedroom. Bath upstairs.
Jerry.
It wasn't bad. You know, it had a lot of possibilities, but it was just too far from the school.
And Jerry was born while we were there.
Yeah, I did. I don't know where John slept then.
Yeah. Well, I think there's cribs in the hall too.
What?
There were cribs in the hall.
Were there? It was probably
Yeah, I believe so.
John then. Maybe you. You were only 3 years old when you moved there, right?
Maybe you start off with.
Yeah.
But then I remember going in the room with Joe.
So,
And
How
you.
long did you live in that house?
3 years.
3. Okay.
So I
We
got, tenure. And then we started looking around.
We had a goat in that house, right? Didn't you used to have a goat? Get a goat when we were in Belfort?
Yeah, my mother wanted to go. I didn't think much of it at the time. She wanted to go for a pet. And we go and it cost us $8.
So you had a goat in the house for a pet?
Not in the house, no.
Oh.
Somebody get up on the porch. Yeah, goats are interesting animals once you get to know them. They've got personalities.
And the house in Beaver Falls. You were telling me another time that you went to Mr. Lefevre to get a mortgage on it. It was a very informal mortgage.
Yeah, I wrote about that.
You never. That's right. You wrote it. Yeah.
What about it?
Never signed a paper.
I can tell you about well, we wanted to buy this place and mortgage.
Sorry.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Don't eat it.
But
Please
you
don't.
love chocolate,
No,
right?
he's allergic to it now.
He's allergic to it, but he just eats it. He
No,
doesn't
No,
fit.
sometimes.
Can't eat it. He'll do this all night. Nobody
I got
else-
that for you.
I don't want it. Neither do you.
Speaking of chocolate, there's also a story that you would go to the bank in Krogan after payday, cash your paycheck at the bank, and buy a big chocolate bar.
Hmm?
Big Hershey's chocolate bar.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, as my mother says. And that you would eat the whole chocolate bar, and the next day you would complain about having a headache.
I don't remember
chocolate.
that at all.
No?
I would usually get some groceries or else come home in the winter night. There was an A&P in Clogan.
Mhm.
That closed. I guess a few years after there. Then we go shopping there
Where?
in Clogan. Okay.
Every time he has chocolate now, he coughs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay, so,
Where were we?
yeah, mortgage. He went to get a mortgage.
They couldn't get mortgages were tight. Rates were at 6% or so. I think it was high for the period. As I was telling Cliff Chamberlain, the principal, when they see him, if I had any suggestions, he said, "Let me see if Lefevre has any money." He picked up the phone, and I didn't know what he meant by that. And Lefevre, I know, owned the Beaver plant.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a retirement, you probably know what you call it, retirement something. People,
Fund?
they'd load out money,
Mm-hmm.
you know. What do you call it, though? You have the employees put their money in, the owner puts money in,
Mm-hmm.
they've got money, they load that money out.
they make
No, no.
money.
Mutual fund?
What?
Mutual fund type?
Let's call it a retirement fund. I don't think.
Which type's of
Retirement
retirement fund, Joe?
Yeah, but I don't know if I had any fancy name. Anyway, I talked to Lefevre for a while, and he said, "Yeah, you got an appointment with him. Go down and see him next day after school." And I didn't know. All I heard about the guy is grouchy. And it's kind of hard to get along with it sometimes. So I went in to see him, and he was on the school board. He did, as I understand it, he did a lot for that school board compared to other people, a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "You got tenure now." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Which means you're free to go any place." I said, "But I want to settle down here. I like this community." And I did something else. I think that he called up the lawyer for that worked for him. And what did he tell us? Go see him in Lefevre. Next day we had an appointment with him. Then I met with him again. He was a lawyer, I think, for all three plants. And we met with him at J.C. was then the J.C. Lewis plant. And I guess he had an office there. We filled out some paperwork. He gave me his name and address on a paper.
Mm-hmm.
He said you send him a check for $50 every month. It's just his name addressed to Beaver. Right?
$50?
$50 a month, yeah.
Oh my God.
And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was your mortgage payment?
Yeah, and nothing formal, no book or anything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And no closing costs. And we didn't know anything about buying a house. It's our first time. We didn't realize how fortunate we were.
Yeah, you were.
And I think I mentioned that we bought it for $6,000. And I think I was making about $7,000 at the time, so my annual income was actually more than the mortgage. How many times did that happen now?
Mm-hmm.
People making $70,000, $80,000 and they buy a house with $300,000, $400,000. I don't know what people do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, beginning of the month I would write out a check, send it to this address. Never got a receipt, never got anything. And that's the way it worked.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you know when he had it paid? Did you get something in mail or somewhere?
No.
So you
But
never
you
knew
never
that?
paid it off. You sold it before it was paid off, though, right?
I was just about had to pay it off. No, then I had to remortgage it because your mother and I were getting divorced.
Oh, okay.
I had to give her half it. So then I think I remortgaged it for $15,000, which still wasn't bad. I think I sold it for about $30,000. No, it wasn't that much. 20-something.
20-something, that's what you sold it for.
And the house needed a lot of work.
A lot of work. We ended up putting 4 boys in one room. I always felt bad about that. You didn't have your own rooms, or at least 2 to a room.
We always felt bad about that too.
Did you?
But no, I'm kidding. But it wasn't all in. We weren't all in one room to start with. That was the upgrade when you put us all in that one room.
A big room upstairs?
That was principal. Yeah, that when we revised or renovated that junk room.
Yeah.
Then we all got there. But before that, Joe had his own room. The 2 girls had one room, and those are both the rooms that faced the street or the road, no street road, and then
There were bunk beds in the hallway.
in the hallway it was one bunk bed. On the bottom was Jerry and John, and on the top was me.
Jerry and John slept together.
Yep.
You remember better than I do.
Well, I kind of knew that. Yep, grew up there. So we didn't have our own room until we did get that second. Until we didn't have even a room.
No.
Until we got that renovated.
That was a big room up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
You remember that, yeah.
You know,
And
that was an apartment. There was a door going outside.
Mhm.
But that was an apartment. And your mother met the people, probably who used to live there at that upstairs apartment.
Where
And
was
they
the
used
kitchen?
Huh?
Where was the kitchen, excuse me?
It was there, that room.
It was in one big room that had a kitchen.
Yeah.
And so it didn't have a toilet.
No, they had to use the back house. They had to go down the outside stairs. They had to go down and use the back house.
Oh dear.
So what were the people? Who were they that had lived there?
I can't think of their names. But they said they enjoyed living there out in the country. They used to go for walks out there.
So it was a country house for them. It wasn't just a.
No, it's always been a country house.
Yeah. And one by one, you renovated every room. I think started with what became the den. And because that was the junkiest, I think. Yeah, that was the first one.
You lost me.
You started, we renovated the rooms in the house one by one.
Oh yeah, we got the bedrooms set upstairs.
No, I think the first one was the den,
Downstairs in the front?
downstairs.
Yeah, well, it was had 2 doorways. You know.
You had that little office back there.
Yeah, that's right. But there was another doorway going out into the.
Other room.
And boy, that's a great place for kids to go right around in circles.
Yeah.
Our parents had just taken Georgie's room and opened it up so they could go from there to the kitchen.
Right,
So
yeah.
they had
Whose
2
parents?
rooms. Huh?
Whose parents?
My parents.
They
In their
lived
house.
At their house
Yeah.
or your house?
At their house.
Okay.
It was the hired man's room because they got rid of the chickens and they got him another job.
Okay.
And so they made that into an office. But they opened up, opening a doorway in the wall so they could go from there into the kitchen instead of going all the way around. So they had 2 doorways into their office. And I had 2 and I closed one up. And they said, "What'd you do that for? We opened one up." I said, "It's because the kids run around in circles all the time in there. It drives me nuts." So we did that. I don't know where we got from there.
That was the first one. Maybe the second one was the boys' room.
I thought we did that first to get you guys, get you out of the office. I don't,
Maybe it was, but I don't
I don't remember.
remember so much. And then eventually the dining room and the living room. The parlor, I think, was last.
Parlor did.
You did that front room after we were married.
Yeah, the kitchen
No, the front room.
and the front room. Yeah, that's why I hired some guys to put.
Oh, really? So we never did that
The
ourselves?
laundry room.
The
Not
laundry
the
room.
laundry room, the room. It was
The
the
front.
kitchen, the dining room, the living room, the front door, and then it was the room right
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
We called it
TV
the
room.
parlor. Yeah, we
Yeah.
called it parlor.
Yeah, TV room. Yeah.
So that one you hired somebody to do after that?
I don't recall you.
I don't know, I
I think you
remember.
paneled it or something.
I don't remember so much either. On the woodshed, I remember in the woodshed you built cubicles to hang up coats. I remember the trying to make a bulkhead out the side. We never really put a bulkhead in there, but we did dig down into it and bust through the wall a little bit to make a crawl space.
Yeah,
Why?
from the outside.
Why was that? Why would you want a crawl space?
Because there was a crawl space from the kitchen, from the cellar. That's where all the piping was. I tried to get under there and try to fix leaks, copper pipes, and I know nothing about it. And I'd be nagging my back fiddling for that. Trying to get a solder leak that hold. So I thought I'd dig from the outside.
And then meet halfway?
Yeah, and so there'd be an outside door into the cellar.
That'd be great.
Never finished that. I remember putting in a drywall for the washing machine.
I remember that too.
That
Yeah.
worked pretty well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. weren't there two drywalls? You put in dry wells. You put in one for the washing machine and one further out for
Kitchen, maybe?
yeah,
Maybe.
some in the kitchen. In addition to the septic was there too.
Yeah, septic was
We
there.
cleaned that a
Just
few
went,
times.
Out down the hill.
The washer and dryer were in the room that you come in from outside, right?
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
to the bathroom, right?
Which we called the woodshed. And I remember the day you electrified the barn. Grandpa came up with a big cable in his trunk and helped you string a cable from the house to the barn.
He did? I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
That's good. I remember we got wire down.
Mhm.
Down there.
That was amazing. We were all thrilled that we got the electricity there. So you could. So before that, though, we had to take a lantern down to feed the animals.
Yeah.
Why? What would you be doing after dark in the barn?
Feeding the animals.
Feeding the animals.
At
Yeah.
Or milking.
In the dark?
At the
Well,
gas lantern.
Okay.
That's pretty
Because usually don't you feed them when it's still light out?
well, in the winter.
In the morning, I think Joe did most of it by himself in the morning. And no, it got dark 4:30 or so.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah.
I forget how dark it can get early.
Yeah, especially that far north. Yeah. You heard the
Yeah.
opposite news or not?
Speaking of getting dark and late, it's 10 o'clock already.
Yeah, it's after 10.
All right. Anything else? Any other last words of wisdom you want to tell
My
posterity?
life story in 2 easy sessions.
Really?
Like this.
Yeah.
I think a breezy start
Can't
tomorrow
think of
morning.
any more I want to tell.
Tenths,
No.
close to triple digits, just shy of that, and then by
I guess
5
that's it.
o'clock, we'll go lighter wind, Sean.